कपल सुख यमुना तीरे विफल से बिन पीपल जना कपल सुख यमुना तीरे जाहुरे मना श्री नंदन अभय जाहुरे मना श्री नंदन
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Welcome to our Viplavah 2022, the final session. And before we start, I'll run Srila Prabhupada's lecture for 2 minutes. So please stay tuned. 1 second. Okay.
Instruction in the Shastra. One has to become perfect by tapasa, by austerities, tapasa brahmacharya, and becoming brahmachari, celibate, what is called? Celibate life? Celibacy, yes. Life of celibacy. Controlling the sex desire. This is tapasa. Tapasa brahmacharya, samena damena. These things are education. And what is this nonsense education? How to become a big mechanics of motor car parts. This is not education. This is Shudra education. It is not education. It is called Shilpa. Shilpa Vidya, Brahma Vidya. Vidya means Brahma Vidya. Therefore, in the Vedic society, education was meant for the Brahmins. Education was not meant for the Shudras. Education was meant for the Brahmins and partially of the Kshatriyas, neither of the Vaishyas nor of the Shudras. What education? Vaishya's livelihood is, or his occupational duty is, how to produce food, how to give protection to the cows, and if there is excess stock, how to trade with it. So anyone can learn by seeing only. It doesn't require any high education. If the father is tilling the field, the son can learn it by seeing it.
Thank you very much for listening. Now I'd like to humbly welcome His Grace Tapan Mishra Prabhu to invite all the guests for this last session of the Viplavah. Hare Krishna, Tapan Mishra Prabhu.
Thank you, Bali Madan Prabhu. Hare Krishna, everyone. Please accept on behalf of the Ministry of Vaishnava pranams to all of you. Vancha kalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhubhyevacha patitanam pavnebhyo vaishnavibhyo namo namaha. I'd like to seek the blessings of His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada upon this symposium and all of its participants. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutle Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. I also seek the blessings of the reciting deities of Sridham Mayapur. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Shivas Adi Gaur Bhaktvinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Thank you, Balimadan Prabhu. I request you to please open the session and invite our speakers to start sharing with us the topics of discussion.
Thank you very much. And thank you all the participants for joining in our last session. And I would like to invite Bhakti Vasudev Maharaj. His Holiness Bhakti Vasudev Swami is an initiating guru in ISKCON and a member of the Spiritual Advisors Bhagavad Assembly Sabha, a partner of the Governing Body Commission GBC. He also holds a PhD in Applied Management and Decision Science from Walden University in Minneapolis, USA. He has, to his credit, more than 35 publications in international academic and peer review journals. So please welcome Bhakti Vasudev Maharaj. I think I made you a co-host. If you like to present, you're most welcome to do so. Could you turn on your video, Maharaj? Yeah, I can see. Unmute yourself.
All right. So thank you very much. I'm very happy and I feel blessed to be requested to make a presentation in this very forum organized by the Ministry, ISKCON Ministry of Education. To set up a program like this is always very challenging, so I appreciate the job, the service that you're doing to Srila Prabhupada. So my presentation is a technical presentation because this is one of the ways that I present the Hare Krishna mantra or the Vaishnava philosophy to members of the academy, especially in the Academy of Science, Engineering and Technology. So the topic of discussion today, or the theme of my research, is sonic therapeutic intervention for global harmony, considering that global harmony hinges on the theme of this very symposium. So introduction and background of the study. This harmony is escalating in the whole world, and strategies for global harmony must have to involve at a geometric progression and of course also in sophistication to be able to deal with the emerging disagreements effectively.
So Maharaj, may I interrupt you for it? Could you please make your presentation full screen? Is it some participants requesting? Thank you.
Full screen. Okay, just a minute.
Thank you.
I'm not so much of a tech guy. How do you do it for
Balimadan Prabhu, is it possible that you could project it from your laptop so that it's easier for Maharaj, and Maharaj can just simply ask you to go to the next slide?
Yeah,
okay.
I think that could be better.
Okay, give me 1 second. So yeah, let me share my screen. 1 second. Yes. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Oh, it's coming up. Yeah. It's booting.
Balimadan Prabhu, can you try to move forward? We just want to make sure that the keynote to Windows is able to also project everything properly.
Yeah, so
I think it does. It does. Thank you.
Yeah. So thank you, Balimadan Prabhu. So introduction and background of this study. This harmony is escalating, in other words, is skyrocketing in the global village or in the whole world as never before, and strategies for global harmony must have to evolve at a geometric progression and, of course, in sophistication too, to be able to deal with emerging disagreements effectively. Sonic therapeutic intervention, STI, is an effective strategy for developing divine love, self-transformation, and managing mental health. So I need to explain these points. Of course, when I go to the definition of concepts, I will have to give a vivid explication or explanation about the concept of sonic therapeutic intervention. But, managing mental health, sonic therapeutic intervention actually refers to the use of sound or transcendental sound vibrations for self-transformation or community transformation. And we have many of them in the Vedic literatures, like the Panchatattva, we chanted collectively, and the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, we go into the streets and chant to be able to purify ourselves and purify the environment. And of course, our basic slogan is chant and be happy. Happiness is a positive mental health value. And so sonic therapeutic intervention basically is an effective strategy for developing divine love, means Krishna Prema, self-transformation, and managing mental health. 1 billion children globally, ages 2 to 17, have been victims of physical, sexual, or emotional abuse or neglect. This is stats from the World Health Organization 2022. Now, investigative studies on sonic therapeutic intervention for global peace and harmony has mainly been absent in the management domain. My degree is in management science. And so what I'm saying here in essence is that this type of study is not very much, it's negligible if at all is there. Otherwise, it's not there at all in the management domain. Therefore, this study fills the gap in the management literature. When we have to conduct a research, first of all, by the very definition of research in management science, it means we are trying to solve a problem. And so the problem we are trying to address here is disharmony, quarrels, fighting. And so this study fills the gap in the literature because there is no such study in the past based on sonic therapeutic intervention that addresses or that provides a strategy for global harmony. So filling the gap in the literature implies that it is a befitting research. It is worthwhile. It is not a repetition of past research projects. Next slide. Definition of concepts. Global harmony implies respecting nature and loving people because we are all a global family. Prabhupada mentions, when you see this reference, Prabhupada 2019, it's referring to the Vedas. I think there's a more current version, but this is what I use in this very research, the 2019 version. So global harmony means respecting nature. Bhagavad Gita mentions how we've been exploiting the resources of nature since time immemorial, and this creates a lot of entanglement. And to be in harmony with nature is one of the recourse for global peace. And to love people is basically our prime objective because we are one family. Krishna mentions in the Gita, again, Mama evam so jiva loke jiva bhutta sanatana. We are a global Krishna family. Social change is the augmentation of human and social conditions by supporting individuals, communities, organizations, development. And this is I got this definition from my own last presentation, my last publication with the World Academy of Science, Engineering and Technology. And I also made some additional reference to Stephen Patterson, Kelly, and my 2016. Sonic therapeutic intervention involves recapitulatory self-administration of specific transcendental sound vibrations that facilitate a positive change. The specific sound vibrations utilized in this very investigative study is the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. The Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Next slide, please. Problem statement. I'm following precisely the structure of investigative studies in management science, specifically in America. Problem statement. 30% of women worldwide have experienced physical or sexual assault from an intimate relationship or not partner sexual violence, based on data from 161 countries and regions. Again, this is from the World Health Organization. Now, when we talk about violence, what does violence mean? We are non-violent, and therefore, we don't even kill ants. Prabhupada basically wanted us to be non-violent, and the acharyas wanted us to be non-violent, so we don't eat animals. But if we even hurt somebody, that is violence, based on the definition of the American Psychological Science Association. Each time we hurt someone, we victimize someone, or each time we abuse someone, someone is upset with our behavior, that is violence. So think about it. Each time we hurt somebody, we have actually broken one of our own four regulative principles. The specific problem in this research is that leaders of Global Harmony Initiative, there are so many Global Harmony Initiatives, leaders of Global Harmony Initiatives, but often they do not understand the value or the importance of sonic therapeutic intervention or the chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra in fostering global harmony. I mean, we can see right here in Mayapur, Ukraine and Russia, they're fighting. But here, right here in Mayapur, Ukrainians and Russians, they are living together, they are eating together, they are sleeping together. This is just a vivid example of how this very therapy works, and it is of a global interest to notice that people from all walks of life, from all countries, can really live under one big house. Prabhupada mentions he has built a house for us to live in, for the whole world to live in. 108 million people died in the 20th century wars. The general theory of crime brings to bear that all crime and antisocial behavior are due to low self-control. And this corresponds with what the Bhagavatam says, Adanta Gobi. All of our problems could be summarized due to uncontrolled senses. Next slide. So, in applied management and decision sciences domain, when we have to conduct research, that research basically has to hinge on some theories or some conceptual frameworks. So grounded in Gottfriedson and Hitch's 1980 self-control and Prabhupada's 2019, 1986, 1986 means referring to the Bhagavad Gita, and 2019 is referring to the Vedabase of chanting of sonic therapeutic intervention or chanting Hare Krishna. The purpose of this study is to explore sonic therapeutic intervention practitioners' lived experiences. Lived experiences. It means this is a hermeneutic phenomenological study regarding the value of sonic therapeutic intervention for global harmony. In other words, we're going to investigate, we're going to conduct some studies or some research, but the research is hinging on two conceptual frameworks: the general theory of crime and the sonic therapeutic intervention, or the conceptual framework of chanting Hare Krishna. We know that chanting Hare Krishna basically is to attain Krishna Prema. Krishna Prema. But there are many side effects when someone is chanting Hare Krishna. And these side effects, like every other therapy or intervention, these side effects are not actually negative. Each time we take some medication, we have some side effects, and it could cause another problem. The chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra also does have some side effects, but all the side effects are positive. And we'll see that in the results of this study. So, next slide. Research question. The research question basically is the fulcrum that we use in figuring out how to address our problem. So this research question is, what are the lived experiences of sonic therapeutic intervention practitioners regarding the value of sonic therapeutic intervention for global harmony? Next slide. The methodology and design. There are basically three methodologies in research. We have the mixed methods, which is a combination of the qualitative method and quantitative method. We also have the what a researcher could choose to conduct his study using the quantitative method or the qualitative method. And this very study we employ the qualitative method. Now, the design is basically the approach. The approach, like I mentioned earlier, is hermeneutic phenomenological approach. Hermeneutic implies that your lived experience, you're chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, what is your experience? It's not something that someone has to tell you. You've been chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. How do you feel? What impact does it have on your life? Did it change your life positively or negatively? And what are those changes? The key words of this very study are compassion for self and others, divine love, high self-control, and peace of mind. Next slide. So data collection methodology or data collection method. Every time we conduct research, even ordinarily speaking, even literature review, basically is a method. It's a method in itself of gathering some data. So here, the data collection process was based on semi-structured interviews from a snowball purposeful sample. And the number of participants involved were 8. And we did also a document review All of these facilitated the data that was generated, data collection. Now, where were your resource? Where did you get your resources? Each time we conduct a research, we use particular or specific data sets. We explore particular data sets to be able to generate the information we want or we need. So I used employed the services of Business Source Complete Premium, EBSCO, Elsevier, Emerald, Google Scholar, ProQuest, PubMed, Science Direct, and Toria Database. Now, after generating the data that was required to be able to attain data saturation, the data was analyzed thematically. In other words, the data was analyzed to be able to generate some themes so that we know the effect or in the process of chanting the Hare Krishna mantra or the process of our experience in sonic therapeutic intervention was able to generate this, and that. Interview results, we are triangulated with document review data for content validity. Each time we conduct a research, content validity is very, very important. And so the results of the interview, we are triangulated with document with document analysis to be able to create a valid content analysis. Next slide. Now the results. Sonic therapeutic intervention enable consequentiality mindset. Consequentiality mindset means that, we understand this is going to implicate me. I know this is going to land me into trouble. So the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra, if we really chanting sincerely to be able to attain pure love of God, one of the byproducts, one of the side effects is that we develop a consequentiality mindset. In other words, we know this is bad, this is against the laws of the country, this is a felony, or this is a crime. I will not do it because there is a consequence that comes with it. Next, high self-control. Sonic therapeutic intervention enable high self-control. And we find this amongst a number of people who have been chanting over the years, that they don't get involved into trouble. They don't get involved in trouble. Whether it is crime or sin or whatever, they don't get involved. They have high self. It enables them to develop high self-control. I mean, it's like Rupa Goswami mentions in the Upadhyayamrita, Vashu Vegam, Manasa Kroda Vegam, Jiva Vegam, Udara Pasta Vegam, Etam Vegam Yo Visa Hita Deer, Sarvam Abhimam Prithivim Sasasha. This is high self-control. A peace of mind. People who have been chanting for a donkey number of years, for decades, they have serenity of mind. Post-conventional consciousness. I need to make some explication on this. A post-conventional consciousness means that voluntarily, I don't need anyone to preach to me or to try to persuade me. I know that this is wrong. This is against the Constitution. I will not do it, and no one can convince me otherwise. That is post-conventional consciousness. Self-awareness. The more one becomes involved in practicing sonic therapeutic intervention, one becomes more self-aware of their pristine identity, their original identity as spirit source. So, what have these What of these items that sanitary intervention enable, what have they to do with global harmony? The items mentioned above facilitate global harmony. How do we know? Through the triangulation of the results with document analysis. Next slide.
So you
Maharaj, quick time check, Maharaj. We are coming to the end of your session.
Yeah,
and
I'm almost
have
done.
The next speaker.
I'm almost done. What are the social change implications? The result of this research, if implemented, will enhance global peace and harmony management, more significant peace leadership, and result-oriented decision-making in peace building. Also, the study results have the potential to de-escalate the death rate and depression associated with wars. The study results could mitigate the identity crisis and maladjustment that trigger disharmony in the form of wars and conflicts. Next slide. So here we go, references. First reference, this is a paper that was presented at the World Academy of Science, DAS 2021, at the World Academy of Science, Engineering, and Technology. Anyone who needs this paper could initiate that idea with the Minister of Education Ministry, and I'll send it. It received a Best Presentation Award, and the paper was, the research was published in the Journal of International Journal of Mechanical and Industrial Engineering. So we have also got Friesen, which is about the general theory of crime, Hij, and Prabhupada, Bhagavad Gita as it is. Next slide. Yeah, so these are the other references that they were cited in the text. So next slide. So thank you very much. Any comments or questions?
I think there is a comments from Urmila Mathur regarding the Gopinath Prabhu, Dr. Venugopal Damerla has been also conducting research into the measurable effects of chanting. So please be in touch with him. You can see in the chart too.
I have a question for Maharaj. Maharaj,
Sure.
what are your other areas of research interest that you're currently pursuing?
If you check my publications, you will see my other areas of interest. Basically in leadership, management and leadership. I'm very much interested, and I've published in leadership, in kleptocracy de-escalation. Kleptocracy de-escalation means, kleptocracy means leadership by the wrong people. People are put into power and they use their position instead of using their position to help to foster unity and upliftment of their constituencies. They use their position to steal the government money or the organizational money. That is a kleptocrat. So kleptocratic de-escalation, I've been very much interested in that, and I've published a lot of research materials in that area.
So thank you very much, Maharaj, for your wonderful session. And I would like to thank you for joining also in Viplavah. So we'll move on with our next speaker engagement for this Viplavah session, last one. I would like to welcome Urmila Devi Dasi. She has served with the ISKCON continuously since her initiation by Srila Prabhupada in 1973. And she and her husband are in the Banaprastha order since 1996. They have 3 married children, 14 grandchildren, and 2 great-grandsons. She has a PhD in education, was a primary and secondary teacher for 27 years, and has 19 years of experience with school management. Urmila is the chair of the Shastric Advisory Councils to the GBC, was an associate editor of Back to Godhead for 30 years, and formerly a professor of sociology and religion at Bhaktivedanta College. She travels worldwide teaching Krishna consciousness. She is the author of Essence Seekers, Dr. Best Learn to Read, and 83-book literary program, and the great mantra for mystic meditation. We'd like to welcome her on this Viplavah 2022. Thank you very much.
Can you properly see my screen that says Career Dharma?
Perfectly
Yes,
fine.
Okay. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namane. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharani Nirvisesa Sannivadi Paskatyade Satarane. Vanchakapati Bishaki Pasanabhi Batapati Chanam Pavanavyo Vaishnavevi Namo Namaha. So I'm wondering about time. Since we started a little late.
we'll have the same allocation of time, Mother Urmila. So about 20-25 minutes for you to speak. And if you can leave the last 5-7 minutes for question answers.
Okay, very good. Thank you. All right, so I'd like to present something that I've been working on with Rukmini Devi Dasi. That's not Anutama's wife, but Dr. Ruchira Dutta for the last 5.5 years. And that is about Career Dharma, the natural art of work. And this is a learning and teaching how to identify your nature and use it in Krishna's service. And if you'd like any more information about the presentation I'm giving today, if you go to this link and put in your email, we will send you information, or you can just capture this QR code on your phone and get further information, because I'm giving just a really brief overview today. So let's look at what Srila Prabhupada has to say on this topic. In Bhagavatam 2.7.6 purport, Srila Prabhupada makes clear that brahmachari training should include taking specific training for a livelihood. In his purport to Bhagavatam 5.7.4, he says it's the duty of the government to see that the citizens act according to these divisions, Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, Shudras, their material divisions, but for their spiritual advancement. And here in his purport to 5.19.19, Prabhupada says something that's pretty revolutionary. The Krishna consciousness movement, however, is being propagated all over the world to reestablish the Varnashram Dharma system and thus save human society from gliding down to hellish life. So are we doing this? Are we helping our youth to find work according to their nature and to do that work as both livelihood and service? Are we actually training people like this? Are we training the youth in our movement? Are we training new people that come to the movement like that? So Rukmini and I saw that there was this lacking. And so we decided to put together something so people could learn and begin to implement the 9 principles of the Career Dharma system so that they'd be well on their way to achieving deeply satisfying career success and harmonious balance between their career and their spiritual life. This is one of the 5 most commonly brought up problems that people have taken to me while I'm traveling. How do I get balance between my material life and my spiritual life? You will be able to identify your ideal career field and prosperity type, learn the secrets of making your work deeply meaningful, and progress toward dharmic mastery. You'll start applying the principles of devotional living to your career and your career will thus enthuse your spiritual practices with deep meaning and taste. Imagine, let's just sit for a minute and imagine. Imagine that your daily life has gradually come to include all the practices and activities you've always dreamed of. You love the work you're doing. You love your livelihood and your career. You love what you're producing. You really love how you're making a meaningful contribution. Your work is bringing you the kinds of prosperity that truly enrich you and that you joyfully share with others. What you do at work enlivens your sadhana, and your sadhana enlivens your work. All right, let's look for a moment at some of the features of the book, which should be coming out very shortly. We're in our very, very final stages. There's exercises and quizzes to ensure you're on track and to solidify understanding. There's lots of examples that clarify and aid in realization. There's in-depth research from Shastra and empirical sources to build conviction and faith, so one will have motivation to implement these ideas. Now, you notice I talked about the 9 principles of career dharma. We believe that one of the reasons that in ISKCON we really haven't educated and helped people so much is that we tend to look at details instead of principles. Principles are universal. They can be put into effect at any time and place by anyone, whereas details are very context specific. So after in-depth research, over 5 years of research, and as was mentioned, I have a PhD in education, Rukmini has a PhD in mathematics, we've isolated these 9 principles. So 1, connecting our nature with our livelihood. Such an important thing mentioned in the scripture, that whatever is our nature, we should be using to earn our livelihood. Advancing through life while nourishing our nature. This is how to develop, how to nourish it as we go from student to married life to retired life to renounced life. Extending our prosperity to others, as Krishna says, even great souls should give in charity. Ethical and meaningful work of value. Our work should be honest. It should give meaning to ourselves and others and enhance the value of life for everyone. Delight in cherishing our prosperity and our field of work. What gives to us, we give back. We keep the integrity, the beauty of whatever is giving us prosperity in our general field. Having celebrations of the sacred in our life and work. This is, of course, the Sankirtan Yagya, our regular sadhana, and coming to see everything in terms of Bhagavad Gita 4:24, that everything merges into transcendence. Working above what we call in our book the shades of ego, Sattvagun, Rajagun, and Tamagun, acting as Jivara Swarupaya Krishnara Nityadas. Then the last 2 principles of career dharma have to do with society as a whole. The first 7 have to deal with individuals. Maintaining societal balance, how there's cooperation between the 4 fields of work, competition within them, and this provides checks and balances within society. Finally, all-inclusive sustainable prosperity, not some unlimited growth model that's not tied to the land. The features of our Career Dharma course are in-depth study for greater understanding and application, a lot of interactive learning for retention, introspection, and practical use, a great variety of learning modalities for personal progress with ease, and social engagement for the synergy of association with like-minded persons. The course has 4 sections: identifying your ideal career field and prosperity type, then learning the secrets of making your work deeply meaningful, then progressing towards dharmic mastery, and then looking at the whole system for peace and prosperity. Srila Prabhupada used the term peace and prosperity, recorded at least 195 times. Now, there's a relationship between the 9 principles and these 4 modules. The first module of identifying our prosperity type and career type connect with the first two principles of connecting our nature with our livelihood and advancing through life while nourishing our nature. The next module, learning satisfaction and purpose in our work, connects with the principles of extending our prosperity to others and having ethical and meaningful work of value. The third module of the course, progressing to Dharmic mastery, connects with the next three principles: delight in cherishing our prosperity and field of work, having celebrations of the sacred in our life of work, and learning to work above the shades of ego. The last module relates to our last two principles, that of societal understanding, maintaining societal balance, cooperation between the fields, and competition within the fields, and all-inclusive sustainable prosperity. And you'll notice here we have career Dharma. All right, let's look at each of these modules in turn. Identifying my prosperity type and career type. Now, this graphic is based on the Gaudiya Math logo that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati designed, and you will see on the gates of our property in Sridham Mayapur, ISKCON property. The inner star is that. And these are the 6 ways of being prosperous. Now, of course, materialists use these as under the shelter of the external energy, and we devotees want to learn how to use them under the shelter of the internal energy. Each of these is produced by one of the 4 fields. In our book, in our course, we call the fields of ideas, the field of government, the field of resources, and the field of artistry. In this particular module of the course, one will get clarity on your natural values in your livelihood, get a sense of yourself in this life and your core place in the world of work, what resonates with you and what doesn't in terms of the work you do and the ways in which you feel rich and fulfilled. You will recognize the signs through your life so far as to your deep values and plan to continue to nourish and train those values and skills going forward. Okay, the second module, which is finding satisfaction and purpose in your work. Now that you have a good grasp on your field of work and types of prosperity, which is your inherent natural dharma, you learn how to express your nature in order to match your dharma to its specific purpose. A purpose that's greater than yourself, a purpose of Krishna's service, a purpose of service to humanity. Gaining deep satisfaction, you will plan how to extend your prosperity beyond yourself and to have integrity in work that gives real value to yourself and those you serve. In the next module, progressing to Dharmic mastery, having a sense of Dharmic purpose here extends into Dharmic mastery. Here you find delight in the cycle of prosperity, the Dharma of nourishing and cherishing that which nourishes you. By contributing to the integrity of your source of prosperity and the field of your work, you create a regenerating and increasing energy of delight, not only for yourself, but also for others who share your field and prosperity type. Such delight brings you to celebrate the sacred in your life and work so that you can progress to living life, as Prabhupada writes in Bhagavad Gita, with a thrill at every moment. You understand how to recognize and avoid the 3 degrees and kinds of ego that shade real awareness, sattva, tamas, and rajas, such that your work can be done without being unduly affected by the ups and downs of the world. And the 4th module, which is looking at the whole society, here you visualize and describe a society in which the natural art of work is the norm, such that the members of the various fields of work interact within their field and with members of other fields in respectful and supportive ways. You will thus feel inspired about how progressing towards Dharmic mastery in your own work contributes to the peace and prosperity of the world. Again, Srila Prabhupada used that term in what's recorded in his books and lectures 195 times. If you're a systems thinker and planner, you will gain a blueprint for society. Again, if you want more information, you can please go to this link and give us your contact information, and then we'll send you information as soon as the book is published, which will be very soon, Krishna willing. And as soon as the course is available, you can also just use this QR code. And Rukmini and I hope that this humble effort will help in establishing the first purpose of ISKCON, to systematically propagate spiritual knowledge to society at large, and to educate all peoples in the techniques of spiritual life in order to check the imbalance of values in life and to achieve real unity and peace in the world. And that is everywhere in the world, from Moscow to Paris to India to everywhere. So, questions, comments, additions, subtractions?
I think we have few comments in the chat. Maybe if you like to see yourself, or I can.
I think there's also a couple of hands up, so maybe we can take those.
Top Administrator, are you going to call on people?
Sure, why not?
Okay.
Venu Gopal Prabhu. Let's see if we can unmute him. Just give me a moment.
And I see in the chat the question, is it at all possible in the material world? Well, Prabhupada says so in the 18th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. He says that we should be able to live life with a thrill at every moment. If you like, I can pull up that quote for you. Venu Gopal Prabhu, yes?
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
So, yeah. So Mataji, how to understand that Varnashrama Dharma and Career Dharma both are same?
Yes, correct. We are using other language because we want to present to a general audience. And also we are feeling very much that if we use the Sanskrit terms there, that people will come with preconceptions that may be wrong.
Yeah. Prabhupada also said Varnashrama college to train the people in the basic skills of according to their guna karma, quality and the work. So I think you are doing the same thing through this.
That is exactly what we are trying to do, yes.
Yeah. Very nice, Mataji. So it's a comment.
With your good wishes and blessings, please.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
And this question in the chat, how can our children identify their nature? This is exactly what we discuss in the book and in the course. Obviously, I don't have time to teach the whole course in these few minutes.
We'll go next to Mahalakshmi Devidasi, please.
No hurry. Okay, thank you very much for the presentation. And I would like to know, you were mentioning what is once you were connecting our nature with our livelihood. So what is one's livelihood while in Vanaprastha?
Very good question. And that's why we talk about, right, nurturing your nature through the life cycle. So in Vanaprastha, one retires from a livelihood, and in sannyas, one is dead to a livelihood. But at that time, one can certainly use one's nature in executing the angas of bhakti for the purpose of the Hare Krishna movement and Mahaprabhu's movement. So knowing one's nature is useful then as well.
It means that if one was maintaining one's life as a teacher while in Grihastha life, while in Vanaprastha life, one obviously will keep on teaching, for instance. Okay.
Correct.
Thank you.
Yes, that's an excellent question. Thank you so much for asking that.
We'll go next to Bal Ganesh.
Thanks for unmuting, bro. Hare Krishna, Gurumala Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. First of all, it's a great initiative, Mataji. That's I've been eagerly waiting because of like so much confusion around and not able to connect our nature. Thanks for bringing this up, Mataji. My question is, in this world, generally there's a competition between the modes, and we'll constantly switch between various natures, right, Mataji? So there will be a mix of modes, and I'm not sure how to identify our nature in this context. So can you elaborate on this, how to get clarity?
Excellent, excellent. I'm so glad you brought this up. Rukmini and I actually discussed this in the book about how Krishna says that these gunas, they're constantly shifting. And we see that Krishna is asking us to work in the world above the gunas. We have a particular body in mind according to our impressions in previous life that give us a particular inclination. But we're not supposed to work in our livelihood under the influence of sattva, rajas, and tamas. We're supposed to work in our livelihood under the influence of bhakti. And so one of the principles of career dharma is that we learn to act above sattva, rajas, and tamas without being tripped up by them. I'm noticing in the chat, we have this question: could careers be restricted by available resources, one's location, the world, health conditions? And we actually discussed this quite at length in the book. The point is that unless you have some really, really, really bad karma, which does happen sometimes, that it is the desire of the Supreme Lord, as stated in the scriptures, that we link our nature with our career. That's his desire. What we are supposed to do is align our desire with the desire of the Lord. If I desire to link my nature with my livelihood, which is the same as Krishna's desire, why should he not fulfill his own desire that I want to do? Now, some specific careers may and may not be available at any particular time and place, but the vast majority of the time, we can find a career that is in sync with our values. Each of the 4 career fields has different dharma, has different values. Of course, Shastra does talk about that for brief periods of emergency, one can work in another field. But we have 2 chapters where we extensively look at what are the harms. Krishna says, Bhayavaha, your work becomes a vehicle of fear. When will the book be released? Soon. We're in our final proofreading. All we have to do is write the acknowledgements and design the back cover. And the course will be an online course, and working on that many hours a day right now.
I think there was also a comment or question from Amritesh Madhav Prabhu. I'd like to check whether he'd like to address that.
I don't think I saw that. Can you tell me what that is? I don't see. Yes.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So right now we have a group of students, around 20-25 students in South India. So we are basically homeschooling children. So as a community homeschooling center, we are just running. So this your topic is very interesting. So how to identify as a teacher, what are the tips to identify the correct career to the students? Just give me some tips. So.
Well, I have only like 6 or 7 minutes here, Prabhu. And that, again, we go into depth in that in our course and in our book. Very, very briefly, your nature is something you can't stop. Krishna says it can't be repressed. He says even a very wise man, very wise person cannot repress their nature. It's something that will manifest even if you're not asked to do it, even if you're not paid to do it. The research shows that generally this is manifest at least by the age of 13. My own anecdotal experience is that it often manifests much, much younger. One thing you can look for as a teacher and as a parent is what does the child do without being asked? What do they do? Maybe they don't know how to do it properly yet. They don't know how to do it dharmically yet. So maybe they get in trouble for doing it, right? The child who's getting in trouble for being bossy may be a leader who doesn't know how to be a leader yet, right? It's often like that, you know?
Okay.
So that's a little hint, but we go into this in depth in our book and in our course. Again, all I can do in this presentation is just tell you that this exists. I really can't give you the actual things of this in this amount of time.
Okay.
Yes, you can certainly share this with anybody you like.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. And
So
we have a question
I have a
about the
question.
7 purposes of ISKCON. So I facilitated a group that worked with North American ISKCON, they called it 3.0, ISKCON 3.0. And our little group with the North American Leadership Initiative, we took the 7 purposes of ISKCON and we expanded it into a multi-page vision of what the world would look like if all these purposes were realized. So this booklet, both in a single page format and in a foldable, printable booklet format, should be available. You can ask me for a copy. You can ask Kaladri Prabhu. And certainly there's a relationship that if we could get the majority of the people in the world to practice the principles of career dharma, such would be very instrumental in achieving many of the 7 purposes of ISKCON.
I have a question that I'd like to ask. Probably
Yes,
it's weighing on several devotees' mind. A large population of devotees who come into ISKCON, they come into ISKCON as adults.
Correct.
And sometimes more than just adults.
Yes.
And they come from a variety of backgrounds, Could you please share with us the schema that you've drawn up and the research that you've drawn up? How will it speak to such devotees?
Okay, well, I just had an in-person seminar that I gave twice in Florida on part of the first module of the course. And I got this feedback from one of the participants, 35 years old. And I just put it in the chat. I can read what she wrote. Although I graduated from an excellent university and found success in my, quote, dream career, I got burned out after a decade and realized that I didn't know how to contribute to the world in a healthy way. I attended the Career Dharma seminar and was able to clearly identify the field of work most appropriate for my nature, which showed me how I'm best able to help society and what kinds of professions I can choose from to do that. Understanding which principles of action as occupations are incompatible with my nature and why really made me see my past work experience in a new light and erased a lot of regret and self-judgment. Moving forward, I think I'll be better able to choose career opportunities that bring fulfillment to my life and help me have the kind of positive impact on the world that I've always hoped for. So like I said, we just presented this. I just presented live just a portion of the first module of the course, the first time to about 60 people, second time to 25, 30 people, most of whom were somewhere between the ages of 20 and 50. And I got this kind of response in general from the participants. So ideally, this is the kind of training that should happen when someone's, 12, 13, 14 years old is when it should start. But if it has to start when you're 35, at least let it start when you're 35. Yeah.
My next question to you is, obviously the book is coming, the course is being prepared and it will also be taught. What is your recommendation besides reading the book and attending the course? Yes. What is your recommendation to educators in this small cohort that we have here, but to also ISKCON leaders in general who are continuously faced with this issue, probably even at a personal level?
Well, Rukmini and I, we have a dream of shooting for the rhinoceros, as Prabhupada said, that if you get the rhinoceros, everyone will say how wonderful. And if you miss it, everyone will say, well, what do you expect? It was a rhinoceros. So we'd love to have many, many people trained in this career Dharma system who can then assist others. We would love to see that at every ISKCON center, there's a career Dharma guidance center where when people come to our temples, they not only get training in how to chant Hare Krishna and how to hold their beads and how to study the books, but they also get training in this very essential part of Srila Prabhupada's mission and this very essential part of the Shastra. And maybe it could become one of the main visions for career in the world. And then, as Prabhupada writes, if we have such educational institutions, the whole face of the world will then be automatically changed. So what could the leaders do? They could support such initiatives. They could have, somebody from their zones take the course. Our first course will be a basic course, and then we hope to also have courses to train people in how to teach Career Dharma and train people and coaching people in Career Dharma, and to have leaders take that course and become knowledgeable in these principles and knowledgeable on how to train people how to recognize this. Is that a sufficient answer? Yeah?
Yeah, it does. It does. My last question, which I like to ask you is, have there been, in your experience, and you have so much experience in evaluating ISKCON and its activities, have there been previous attempts at this? And if yes,
no.
Why did they fail?
No, there has not. I do not know of any attempts whatsoever to identify the principles of Career Dharma. I don't know of any. I know of many, many, many attempts to try to take some details and try to start something based on details, but I've never seen anything based on principles. I've never even seen anybody try to understand and isolate principles. And I've asked some of the devotees who've researched this for years, what are the principles? and I don't find it at all. I find details. So I haven't really seen this. I mean, Rukmini and I jumped into this because we saw it was an area that has a tremendous amount of misunderstanding, and no, not much attempt at application.
It is
or, as I say, if people try to apply it, they're trying to apply some sort of detail. They're trying to take some detail from another yuga or another century and apply that at the present time without looking at the universal principles.
It definitely is a very high impact area, much needed. So thank you for that. May I ask you if there's something done outside of the realm of ISKCON? I mean, other traditions, other.
Well, Rukmini and I also looked at what has been published by other people on the subject. Lots and lots of speculation. I mean, some of it has got some good things, but I mean, there's one book that uses just astrology, but there was lots of speculation. I think, I don't know, maybe Rukmini could correct me on this. I think this is the first attempt to do something firmly based on Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam and a very deep and broad empirical research. Rukmini, can we have Rukmini unmute Rukmini? And maybe she has something more to add on this.
I'm aware of some attempts to apply other dharmic principles. So, for instance, the 4 principles of cleanliness, austerity, mercy, and truthfulness. So that's sort of, a cross-cutting aspect of dharma. So that's one attempt that I'm aware of in terms of the workplace, but not the 4 fields of work and the principles that we are setting out. Yeah.
I mean, Naveen Krishna Prabhu in London wrote a book on work and the gunas. So I think people have presented pieces of this at different places. There's books that look at pieces of it, and there's then books that have a lot of speculation mixed in or something like that. But I think what we're presenting is unique. At least we haven't found anything that attempts to do it in this way.
Bali Mardhan Prabhu?
Yes, so I have a quick question. Is it the course you are offering, is it globally applicable, and what are the fees? Is it standard fees?
I certainly hope it's globally applicable. And the question of fees in terms of global applicability is a question that we need to discuss. That is actually the main question we need to discuss in terms of being globally applicable, is what would be the fees. I mean, the problem is that we'd host it on a website, and most likely we would have to pay a subscription fee for the software to run the program and so forth. So there would be some fees involved, but that's something that we need to work out. Hopefully within the next 6 to 8 weeks, we will have that worked out. I like this point about, I don't know how you say it, ikagai. Definitely that has some relationship to the principles of career dharma. We don't refer to that in our Booker course, but it definitely has some relationship.
And will that be also like endorsed or certified through any local universities for certification if people want to adopt, or is it just
that's part of our rhinoceros shooting dream? I mean, we've written the book in such a way that it could be used as a university textbook. You know, we're both Rukmini and I are PhDs, and we have by Rukmini's pushing a comprehensive index, and it's very thoroughly empirically researched. Somebody wouldn't be able to dismiss it and say, oh, this is just some religious thing. So we quote copiously from the Bhagavatam and the Srimad Bhagavad and the Bhagavad Gita, but also very deep empirical research. So that's our goal. I mean, that's another thing that we could get help with, people who have connections in the academic world to try to get it into textbooks. And I mean, the possibilities are very broad.
all right? Thank you. So Tapan, Mr. Prabhu, what is next?
Thank you so much, Mother Urmila, for this very, very valuable contribution. It's evident from many devotees who are present here that we're really looking forward to hearing from you when this is released. Thank you. And when it's released, please let us know. And we surely from the ministry would like to share it with as many devotees as possible.
Thank you. I would just ask everyone, if you please go to that link and fill out your contact information. And if you know of anybody else who you feel would benefit from this, if you could also share that link with them and ask them to fill it out, that will be our main means of getting out the information. And thank you very much for this opportunity for us to serve Srila Prabhupada and our Guru Parampara, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Lord Nityananda. Hare Krishna.
Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna.
I'd like to request now Balimathan Prabhu to please put up the presentation for Gauranga Prabhu.
Okay. Is he here already in the call someday? Let me bring it. Can you see my screen?
We can see you.
Not the screen. Okay, hopefully now. All right.
All right, so we do have Gauranga Prabhu in the participant list, but we neither see a mic nor a video against his name, which means that he's probably facing some difficulty in connecting.
So he is promoted as a co-host. Probably he should be able to.
Prabhu, can you hear me?
Yes, Gauranga Prabhu, we are able to hear you now.
Yeah, so
Prabhu,
I should be able to now.
Presentation is on the screen. Balimadhan Prabhu, please
Okay.
kindly give an introduction to Gauranga Prabhu, and then we can begin his talk.
Sure, Prabhuji. Just
Thank
give me
you.
1 second. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So we'd like to welcome Gaurang Prabhu. He's a BTech graduate from IIT Mumbai and is serving in various capacities at national and global level in ISKCON organization. He's a global duty officer for the ISKCON Governing Body Commission, trustee of ISKCON GVC College, member of the GVC Organizational Development Committee and GVC Nominations Committee, Divisional Director of Devotee Care and Temple Development Systems and Administration Department of ISKCON Temples worldwide. He is the Director of the Govardhan Eco Village, a United Nations World Tourism Organization, award-winning Eco Village community, and co-president of the ISKCON Chowpatty Temple. He is also serving as trustee and administrative director for Bhaktivedanta Research Center, Kolkata. So we'd like to welcome Gauranga Prabhu for this Viplavah 2022. Thank you.
Gauranga Prabhu is also a governing body commissioner, a GBC member for ISKCON worldwide.
Thank you.
Let me put
Thank you very much, Tapan Mishra Prabhu and Ministry of Education for inviting me for this Viplavah. I'm very honored to be part of this, and I'm going to be presenting on study of some initiatives which I have tried in online education within Eco Village. So thanks to the pandemic, all of us had to innovate. And in 2020 May, we started looking at options of how we could expand our course categories based on activities which we were doing at the Eco Village. Some were direct spiritual courses, which is of interest directly to the ISKCON devotees. Then there are other courses which act as a bridge or an outreach course which connects people to Krishna consciousness through various mechanisms. So that is with respect to yoga and Ayurveda. And there is a large number of people who are connected to us through the sustainability modules. And we also developed courses centered around that. So
would you be able to turn on your video, Prabhu? Sorry to interrupt. Is it possible or?
My video is on.
Oh, sorry, maybe.
I'm able to see.
Okay. Good,
I'm able to see myself. Yeah. Is it on, right?
Tapan Mishra Prabhu, could you see somehow my streaming is not? Could you see his faces in the video? Because okay, now it is visible, Prabhuji. Now I can see. Thank you. Sorry for the intro. Yes, now I can see.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So you can go to the next slide. Yeah. Next. Yeah. So the advantages which we experienced was with respect to outreach, we could connect to many new people and introduce them to spirituality. And one of the advantages with conducting courses is you can conduct systematic methodologies for courses which are at par with some of the top secular institutions. Also, because it's online, cost-wise, it turns out to be less expensive. And, you know, once you have recorded certain sessions, then those sessions can be utilized for long periods of time. Like what we did was during pandemic, we conducted live Bhagavatam sessions from 1st to the 12th cantos. We also did Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Leela, Madhya Leela, Anta Leela, and we did Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu and several other courses, because practically the lockdown was there and no outsiders could come in and neither the insiders could go out. So we kind of utilized that opportunity to conduct almost 1.5 to 2 hours of lectures every day. Instead of verse by verse format of the Bhagavatam, we converted into thematic and covered the whole sections, so that we have captured the entire Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita with few speakers who have studied the subject well, and then they would give live. And in live, we had the inmates of the Govardhan Eco Village, almost 70 to 100 people sitting on live. But then that was also captured on the. So that has now, been captured by us for posterity in the form of an online course. So both conducting live sessions and cost of making inventory is very low. Then another very, very, very crucial point is you can build communities by conducting follow-up programs and discussions. So what happens is just after the pandemic ended, say almost November of 2020, then people started coming in. And then when they would come in, and then our preachers would connect with them on site, then many of them showed and expressed interest that they would like to attend some sessions on Gita. So a new opportunity is to meet any new person once, and if he expresses interest to study the Gita, then very few people can ever refuse to join a once in a week online session. Because previously we would invite people to come to the temple or to some satsang program in some location or some here or there, and they would give hundreds of excuses why they can't make it. But now, if you tell them that from your comfort of your home, you just attend once a week, and these are the different options available once a week, on Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday or Friday, different preachers are giving. So practically speaking, the response rate has grown up exponentially, because very few people can say that I'm not at all interested. After they come to a temple to visit, they don't say that usually. So that way what happened was, by 2021 October, 2021 Kartik, we almost had 65 to 70 new families who had started chanting 16 rounds, thanks to a combination of their live visits and online sessions. And you can practically see a new set of congregation got added up. So therefore, this combination is also something very nice, where you can combine both live and then online. Then opportunity for students and teachers to study and teach wherever they are. This is another advantage, that some of our teachers are sometimes traveling, but they can always connect. And the courses can be completed in self-paced manner, giving opportunities to learn despite their busy schedule. There are various, like for example, Prabhu is conducting Chaitanya Charitamrita classes for the last 2 years for a whole set of devotees in Silicon Valley, right? And they're very particular that they want it to be done only at a certain pace, not too fast, at whatever speed they feel they can manage, and things like that. So customization is possible. And providing association to people where there are no temples and centers, this is a big thing, because even in a country like India, where preaching has exponentially grown in the last 15-20 years, we still at 758 districts in India, ISKCON has managed to reach only 208 districts. That means in almost 500 plus districts in India, ISKCON is not present at all, even in a remote way. Even in a, like say, a satsang house or Namhanta is not even present. So therefore, many such remote places, people who are speaking vernacular language or Hindi language or other languages, they could. And another interesting thing we found, that some of us started giving paid online courses as gifts. It's an excellent gift. Many people appreciate that a nice course is being offered as a gift for them, and opportunity for students to learn from teachers expert in particular subject. And that was another thing, that across the world you could select in different fields and you can learn from. Okay, next. Can go to the next slide, please.
You want to move further?
Hare Krishna. Yeah, please.
Okay, I am in the third slide already. So
Thank you. Yeah, no problem.
Okay.
So, yeah, I've covered this. Go ahead.
This one you cover. Okay.
So basically, these are some of the things which, next. So these are some of the new courses which were launched. And this is specifically from the Bhaktivedanta Vidyapitha, led by Gaurang Darshan Prabhu and Gauram Prabhu. And we also had the advantage of having Chaitanya Charan Prabhu not traveling, and so he was also there. So all of us put together some of these courses for adults. For kids and teenagers was mainly Gaurang Darshan Prabhu. And he also put some interesting courses for shloka learning for children. And of course, then a lot of pre-recorded courses across different dimensions were also done. Next. Yeah, so these are some of the list of the courses which we did. So this is just an overview of various things: Bhagavad Puran, Bhagavad Shravanam, Prabaha, different cantos we did. And basically all this we heard 2 people for both recording and editing. So 2 people full-time were engaged in recording and editing. Their salary is being paid. They were staying at the Eco Village only, and only then this was possible. So credit goes to a lot of hard work put by our 2 cameramen and their editing. They were both combined camera people plus editors rolled into one. They had both the skills. Okay. Yeah, so these are some of the details. So I think, you can remove now, you can stop this presentation. And if there are any questions, we can take up. You can stop the slideshow. You can stop the slideshow.
Yes, Roger, it is stopped. So maybe it is some delay is there in your.
You can remove the slideshow so that we can come back to the overall.
No, it already removed. Can somebody confirm?
Yes, I confirm that it is removed. You can spotlight Gauranga Prabhu again. You can spotlight Gauranga Prabhu on the screen.
Yeah.
Okay. Hare Krishna.
So there are a few questions. So Amrit Prabhuji, let me unmute you. You can go ahead.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Kannada Pranam.
Yes.
Prabhuji, actually, I am at Madurai now, South Tamil Nadu. So I am also a student of Bhakti Viplavah, Gaurang Darshan Das. So I'm attending Bhakti Viplavah. So I can able to say online education is very revolutionary. So it takes us to a next level of thing. So I can easily understand things. So what is my question is, Prabhu? My suggestion is, actually, I am using your Gita Sutra videos. So you have given some summary of Bhagavad Gita, 18 chapters. So I came across last week. So now I am using this in CBSE school, which has 600 students. So they are really benefited by your videos. They are very short videos. So very catchy.
Yes.
So
Thank you.
What is my question is, Prabhu? Actually, the school management asked me to take over this to all students. So can I get any pre-recorded thing for these teenagers, like from 5th class to 12th class? So they are very new to Krishna consciousness.
You can just send an email to Gaurang Darshan Prabhu, so then he will work out whatever is required. Okay.
Oh, okay. That is my question. Thank you, Prabhu, for your nice. Thank you.
Yeah, Shri Gaur Hari Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Prabhuji, my question is regarding assessment in these online courses. Like, what do you think about the that how much the strict the assessment should be, and how could it be done? Like the honesty of the, because in online courses in our temple, I see that people takes to some wrong means of giving answers. So
Yeah.
how?
No, I think you should refer to the exams. I am not experienced in the assessment part.
Prabhuji, but assessment should be there, and how much lenient it should be. Could you give some points?
I'm not experienced in assessment. I only give lectures. I don't do that part.
So I can suggest, Shri Gaura Hari Prabhu, that if you have any concerns with respect to assessments happening in your examination center or online assessments, you can please send a message to the ministry, and the ministry will reach out to the administrators of that program and request them to evaluate and audit their assessment.
Prabhuji, we have not yet started, but I have seen from other examination centers, people were reporting me that in their means examination centers, students take to wrong means. In our temple, we have only offline courses, so I was a bit hesitant in online courses. So therefore, I was.
Sure. So you can even mention to these other centers where people are complaining to you, to tell them that you are complaining to the wrong person. You should complain to the ministry or the board of examinations, and we look into it. But the fundamental point is, if we are studying Srila Prabhupada's books, we want to have these titles. If we don't have basic integrity and honesty for writing assessment, then we are far away from becoming, Bhakti Shastri or Bhakti Vaibhav. It's a very sad state of affairs.
Okay.
We'll go to Charlotte Sinclair now.
Thank you, Ministry. Hare Krishna.
Gauranga Prabhu, there's one more question. If you can just stay on, take that. Charlotte Sinclair would like to ask you a question.
Yeah. Yes.
Hare Krishna. A question about learning online, and we hear in the Srimad Bhagavatam about platform speaking and oral reception, but when we're doing classes like Bhakti Shastri, there is an element of feedback that sometimes students would like. So could you comment on that as far as whether it is necessary or not?
Ideally, live sessions are best because you can have, good interaction. But if there is online, then smaller groups would be better, where the discussions can happen more openly. So that would enhance the quality of the discussion. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Gauranga Prabhu, for addressing this topic about online education. I'd like to confirm to many devotees who are present that some of the communities have benefited greatly from the programs conducted by Govardhan Eco Village and the Bhaktivedanta Vidyapith. So, and these are available. They're available on some links are available also on ministry website. You can please access it there. Thank you, Gauranga Prabhu, for joining us today. Hare Krishna. I hand it back to Balimardan Prabhu. And if you allow me, Balimardan Prabhu, in the interest of time, I could jump straight into our last session.
Yes, Prabhu, just give me 1 second. So thank you very much for Gaurang Prabhu for joining and giving your wonderful association. So now we'll go for our last session, and it is very nice and very privileged for all of us to always know His Grace Tapan Mishra Prabhu. He's our ISKCON Minister of Education Minister, and he started his associating with ISKCON devotees in 1997 while studying Indian Institute of Technology, IIT Delhi. Over the following 20 years, had the good fortune to serve and experience Krishna consciousness in different Environments, university program, temple resident, congregation member, yatra leader, and residents at Holy Dham. He now lives with his wife Indra Sakhi Devidasi and their two daughters Krishnangi and Gorangi at Siddha Maipur. He's also currently serving at the GBC. So we'd like to welcome Tapan Mr. Prabhu for our last concluding session of Viplavah 2022. Hare Krishna, over the floor to you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Bali Madan Prabhu. Well, first thing that I need help with is I'm going to send you my presentation that you can, so that you can put it on. I'm speaking from Siddha Mayapur, and there's a very high likelihood that my internet connection may be a bit shaky. So I'm just gonna try and send this out to you.
Put in the WhatsApp, yeah.
Just give me one moment. Let me just try to make sure that I save the correct version. So while I'm trying to send this presentation, I just want to mention on a lighter note, any wish list items that you have, that you like the ministry to do, please note them down now. Now is the opportunity to let us know what you would like us to do, right? So just feel free. This session is going to be a bit interactive, I hope. And you can please let us know the areas where you think the ministry can help. So that's how I like to kick off this session. While the presentation is being delivered to Bali Madan Prabhu and comes on screen, let me mention to you what we're trying to do here. I'll cover two parts. I'll stick to time in the 20 minutes, 25 minutes that are left. I'll give you a quick overview of what the ministry has done or is doing. It will give you some insight into how we operate, what are the various areas that we like to have to be able to serve you all in education. And then the last few minutes, I like to save to offer a vote of thanks to all who are present here. So, Bali Madan Prabhu, give me a cue as soon as you have the presentation in front of you. All right, so can we go back to the first screen? Okay, I'm able to see it. I'm sure everybody else is. Together towards tomorrow, right? Three words. And the most important two words are the first and the last. Yeah, we have to, despite shortcomings, despite difficulties, we have to remain positive and look for a better future of education within ISKCON. And this is going to happen if we are able to do something together. Right? The whole purpose of this symposium and the various other activities and festivals that we organize from this ministry is to bring everybody together. Let's move to the next slide. This is not the slideshow that I had put together. Could you please check whether it is indeed the version that you've downloaded, Prabhu?
Yes, Roger, this is the one which I only got just now from.
Okay, all right, no problem. Let's run with this. On this slide, you will see that you can click one more time, Prabhu. That in order to bring transformation, there are several things that are important. They must happen simultaneously. We need to make sure, first of all, that Srila Prabhupada's books are accessible and are being read. That's the foundation of any education that we offer within ISKCON. And the ministry is very focused on this. We need to combine that with qualified teachers. Right? It requires for us to debottleneck the system, big word. Let's say simplify things, make trainings available so that we can have more and more qualified teachers. And we need to make sure that we have inspired students. So the efforts that we carry out are composed of these 4 building blocks. Take away any of these building blocks, and the chances of transformation happening towards tomorrow is going to be a failure. A failure is a big word, but it will probably take very long, or it may not happen. Let's go to the next slide. Now, we have certain limbs of the educational service that we're trying to offer. In this chart or description, graphics that you see in front of you, you will notice, starting from the right-hand side corner, books, Srila Prabhupada's transcendental books. You will see that in the last several years, the ministry has focused on our main project, which is called Books Are the Basis. Under the Books Are the Basis project, we are emphasizing regularly and reaching out in every possible way to devotees, to leaders, to sannyasis, gurus, Vaishnavis all over the world, to request them to inspire the communities to read Srila Prabhupada's books every day. We found out that devotees face obstacles, difficulty in reading. They get overwhelmed because they don't have time. They go overwhelmed because the literature is so vast, so on and so forth. So we published an electronic book, which is now a beta release of the book. It's been launched in English, called Conscious Reading. It's released recently during our last Books Are the Basis festival. I encourage all of you to read this book, share it widely, and give us feedback. As part of this effort, once we receive feedback, this Conscious Reading book is almost, it's a textbook. It's a book plus a textbook. And the ministry is now preparing a seminar/course. I'll call it a course because there's going to be some homework, assessment, but a light-based course over a period of 8 weeks, an hour or so, which will help devotees overcome their fear of reading, the obstacles of reading. We have, for the pleasure of all the Vaishnavas now, starting from September of 2020 up till now, interviewed 100 leaders of this movement. And every single week, we publish an in-depth interview of a devotee who's been part of the movement for 20, 30, 40, in some cases even more number of years, and how their life is transformed by reading Srila Prabhupada's books. And if you become part of our Books Are the Basis movement, I request the organizers to please publish the social media handles on the chat now, so that those who are not part of it can join it. Then you will also receive every single day a short 1 or 1.5 minute video with an inspirational message from a leader, from a devotee, talking about their life being changed by Srila Prabhupada's books. Books form a very important part, and we're doing everything out there to get devotees to read. Then there is this component of systems. Everything that we do is to ensure that the ability for devotees to read, come together, learn, write examinations, etc., becomes simpler and easier. So we've introduced steps such as online training programs, along with the Board of Examination. You all heard from Atul Krishna Prabhu this morning. We are reviewing the standards. We are publishing the standards. We are actually providing to many devotees opportunities such as study and teach. We're providing summative examinations. We have now made available completely digital database where you can receive your certificates, verify your certificates, etc. At the same time. So that's something that has been done on the systems. All of our resources are available online. So you can go to ISKCONeducation.org and access everything that the ministry is doing. It's readily available to you. You can, for example, go to our YouTube, Ministry of Education YouTube channel, and you'll find, I think at this stage, more than 500 educational videos speaking about Srila Prabhupada's books, our previous conferences, and whatnot. All of this is happening using the technology. The third aspect, of course, very important, is students. To the students, we are now making available for the Shastic examination various resources where they can study Bhakti Shastri, Bhakti Vaibhav easily. So when we started planning for the ministry's progress in 2020, that was the year when I was asked to take on more active service, starting ballpark from 2019 and 2020. We decided to focus first on getting devotees to read Srila Prabhupada's books. And we spent good 2 years in creating a movement around it. The next step that we decided this year, and we planned for it last year onwards, is after we have a foundation of devotees reading Srila Prabhupada's books, then we want to fulfill Srila Prabhupada's desire, where he said that he wants all his sons and daughters, which also includes us, grandsons, granddaughters, and the generations thereon, to actually carry with pride the titles of Bhakti Shastri, Bhakti Vaibhav, to become spokespersons on the transcendental Bhaktivedanta purports in this world. So we have been focusing on how to create more and more opportunities for devotees to be able to study for these exams, for leaders to be able to study and teach for these courses, and for them to be able to get these credentials. That takes me to the last but very important piece. The teachers have a very important role. Very important role. Going back about 3 years, 2019, with Urmila Mataji, we introduced an instructional design course, which can still be accessed from the ministry website. Moving forward, we are now trying to transform how to access the 1,000+ devotees who've taken the teachers training certifications, right? Now, if we have more than 1,000 teachers trained, are they all engaged in teaching scriptures or not, or teaching other courses? And there's a big gap, right? So the ISKCON Teachers Board, which is now being formed, its mandate, which I explained previously in the symposium, is to make sure that this happens. We have more teachers, we have more qualified teachers. Those qualified teachers are engaged in teaching the scriptural courses that are needed. These teachers come together as a sangha and they develop more resources, more courses. They develop curriculum on all of Srila Prabhupada's books. They build curriculum, as we just heard from one of our speakers, on extremely important topics that devotees are struggling with. This will only happen if we're able to create a sangha of the teachers who are properly trained. In addition to that, we are now going to start a process of reviewing how teachers training is provided. We are also considering incorporating concepts such as continuous training for our teachers moving forward. So it does not become a one-time few hours exercise of taking training and you become a teacher for life. No. We have to upgrade how we teach, and we have to be in line, if not in line, at least in tune with the world, the way that the teachers are building their skill set. And teachers must have an open mind of continuing to improve their ability to deliver, transcendental knowledge. So this in summary is what we're trying to do overall in the various blocks. Now you see a circle in between, right? Right here at the center, you see a circle. I like to share with you how that circle is activated. Please, let's go to the next slide. Educational outreach, right? We are conducting several programs through the year in an individual capacity where the ministry reaches out to various devotees, but also in a collective capacity through our global festival or through our Viplavah Symposium and wherever else we invited. That's our outreach. This outreach and the various programs that we're conducting can only become alive if there is active communication. So we have started an active communication channel where devotees reach out to the ministry, give their inputs, the ministry takes them on, starts working on those projects, etc. When we are able to create this communication, then we are able to bring devotees together for a Sangam, right? When devotees come together, they contemplate on how to serve Srila Prabhupada's movement, then they're able to propose projects, right? So the ministry's role is to create networking. The ministry's role is to create facilitation under the ISKCON structure of leadership, bring education back into focus, talk about it regularly like we do. We publish our videos to the leaders every single week. We keep reminding them. So when these projects come together, we try to create sensitivity around these projects, market these projects, talk about it to devotees worldwide so that they receive traction, they receive the support that is needed. And through these projects, we create more resources. When I use the word resources here, it's a general word. The resources could be curriculum, the resources could be courses, the resources could be helping each other out, a mentorship system and whatnot. And that fructious loop here, as you can see, it leads to more outreach. We get more people involved in education. Next slide, please. So one milestone at a time, if you please go back. Right. It's very important to accomplish all of this that we have devotees, full-time devotees who work. I'm happy to share with you that we now have 4 full-time devotees working for the ministry. It may seem like a small number, but let me put it this way. When you see 4 compared to 0, it's a huge number. It's almost infinity, if I may put it that way. Let's go to next. Next, please. The number of examination centers, right? We have increased. When I say we, this is with the support of one of a very important part of the ministry, the Board of Examination, and the devotees who serve there. The ministry has now increased the number of examination centers, almost doubled it in the last 2 years. Next. At the end of 2019, we had close to about 8,300 or 8,500 Bhakti Shastris and about 250 Bhakti Vaibhavas. Over the last 2.5 years, the number of devotees who have taken Bhakti Shastri and become graduates of Bhakti Shastri has increased, has doubled to about 17,000 plus. And the number of devotees who have taken Bhakti Vaibhava have also increased. Please remember, we have a very simple formula. The ministry just keeps encouraging devotees to read. And the fact is, if devotees read Prabhupada's books, they read Srila Prabhupada's purports, they will get inspired to get more involved in education. When we started off 2020 Viplavah Symposium, which was done in person, At that time, we had about 8,000 Bhakti Shastri, and we had sort of made an aspirational commitment that in the coming 5 years, we would like to at least double it, the number of devotees who are taking these Shastric courses and receiving the titles. We now have the courage to say 3 years have passed, but we want to actually make sure that we can take it 3 times of what it was. So please pray for us that this number in the next 2 or 3 years, we are able to take it to about between 25 to 30,000 devotees who have taken Bhakti Shastri and Bhakti Vaibhav. Next, please. We started at the ministry with not much information, not much presence. We are now able to reach out to many devotees who are interested in the topic. And as it stands, starting from 0, we have 3,500 devotees who are at least engaged with the ministry on our YouTube channel, and several more on other social media channels that we have, whether it's Twitter, Instagram, etc. But it gives us a lot of encouragement to see that we are able to grow and take Srila Prabhupada's transcendental teachings and his focus on education to a larger audience. Next, please. We like to sustain what we started. So 2019, we started the very first Viplavah Symposium in Sridham, Mayapur. And by the Lord's mercy, Srila Prabhupada's mercy, this is the 4th annual Viplavah Symposium. In 2024, we once I hope the world normalizes, and we hope to have a physical symposium again with everybody participating in Sridham, Mayapur. Next, please. One of our cornerstone projects is this emphasis on reading Srila Prabhupada's books. It's called Books Are the Basis. You can get all the details, all the resources, and we create a lot of resources to encourage devotees. This is a festival which is formally starting from 2020, when we requested the GBC body to pass a resolution. It's 1 complete week on ISKCON calendar, formally starting with right after Bhadra Purnima, the day after Bhadra Purnima, and ending at the date when Srila Prabhupada arrived in North America. So that's the week that's dedicated, and you're welcome to look at our YouTube channel or ISKCON Desire Tree, and you will see the efforts and the outcome of the Books Are the Basis Festival. Next, please. So I've given you some historical perspective. I'll also like to share with you where we are right now. We have 8 large projects that the team is working on as we speak, and this includes 30 different assignments in various stages of completion to facilitate ISKCON education. And these are very grassroots level projects focused on various areas of encouraging devotees to read, encouraging devotees to participate in Shastric education, and so on, including aspects such as building the ISKCON Teachers Board, in some way strengthening the Board of Examinations, and other limbs that are being introduced. Let's go to the next slide. If you feel inspired, I humbly request you to please join the ministry. The ministry needs a lot of support. It needs devotees with varied skills, such as project administrator, graphic designers, etc. I've told you about 8 large projects. I will share with you about our team shortly, but we require several experienced project administrators who have interest in education so that these projects can systematically be developed. Next. And if, just on the previous point, even if personally not available, you can please share this presentation, share this talk, and request others who you may know who are thinking, hey, I always wanted to do something in education. I really wanted to support Srila Prabhupada's books and the education, and we will then, be able to engage you through that. The next point I would like to make is become part of the Books Are the Basis movement. What I'm asking for is, if you're very busy, you're busy with your own projects, please read the conscious reading book. If you are a lazy reader, you feel hesitant. If you're already reading, please avail the teaching and learning resources that are available on our website. And there are many resources that are available that you can utilize to become part of this movement. You can start a study and teach program in your own community, even if you don't have a Bhakti Shastri or Bhakti Vaibhav, but you're a qualified, experienced teacher, you're a leader, you're a manager, you're welcome. The ministry can authorize you if you have, let's say, 15 years of service experience within ISKCON, and you're already a natural leader with your own community, etc. We are ready to support you to study and simultaneously teach Bhakti Shastri, Bhakti Vaibhav. Next, please. If you have organizational skill set, you like to become an advocate of the work that the ministry is doing, you like to see more happen in your region, you can become part of a regional representative network. And we have a few appointed for different continents. Next, please. Get your local center authorized. Many devotees feel, oh, we cannot come to a far-off land to study. Why not get your local center authorized? It's a very simple process. We made it even simpler. Reach out to office@iskoneducation.org, and we will facilitate you having your own official examination center. Next, please. Read and inspire others to read Srila Prabhupada's books. That's my humble appeal. Let's go to the last slide. Our vision is, let's go back, every temple and congregation should become an educational center. 3 years ago, we also started off with this aspirational goal. Some say we have 600 centers, some say we have 800 centers. We want every temple congregation to actually focus on education. That's the mandate of this ministry. Let's move forward. Next one. We want every Brahmana, whether you're characterized as one or you're naturally a Brahmana, please become a teacher. Take training and become a teacher. Next, please. And we want every ISKCON devotee is taking regular shelter in Srila Prabhupada's books. Those are our 3 pillars. If every center becomes an educational center, every Brahmana becomes a teacher, and every ISKCON devotee takes regular shelter. Regular means daily, regular means weekly, shelter in systematically reading Srila Prabhupada's books, our movement has a very, very bright future. Thank you. I close my presentation here. If you can go back, Prabhu, yeah. I will take some questions or comments that devotees may have very quickly, because we like to stick to time. Balimardan Prabhu, can you please field the questions that the devotees may have?
There's some question in the chart. I think we are responding that more likely we had to find what in website and online courses. So
sure, if you have anything else, if anybody would like to ask something directly besides the chat.
You can take maybe one question if you can raise your hand.
Yeah, so the question is, are there any remote working opportunities to contribute to Ministry of Education? Absolutely, yes. Yes. Please help us out. You can write to office@iskoneducation.org, and absolutely. We are ready to overwhelm you if you're willing to give us your time. Any other comments or questions?
No, I think earlier there have been asking about the online courses for Bhakti Shastri, Bhakti Vaibhav. So we are going to pass it on the website information. Yeah, and examination center details. So it is posted in the chat already, the answers are.
Thank you. Then on that note, in order to make sure that I don't delay you for your breakfast or dinner, depending upon which time zone you are in or your other services, let me please go to the next slide. I like to humbly offer my vote of thanks. First of all, on behalf of the ministry, I'd like to thank everybody. I start with our esteemed speakers. Some of you are still present. Some of you will see this later on. Thank you so much for becoming part of Viplavah 2022. You're being part of it. This time we tried to share different perspectives of education. It was enlivening. It allowed us to appreciate the various areas that some of our speakers are working in. I'd also like to thank all the participants who came forward and participated in the live broadcast, and all the participants who will take the time in the future to go through what has been shared in Viplavah 2022. This vote of thanks is incomplete and inadequate until I thank the organizers. I start with His Grace Balimardan Prabhu, who is present with us. Balimardan Prabhu, thank you so much. Balimardan Prabhu is the coordinator for this event. He played the important role of Master of Ceremonies. Thank you so much, Balimardan Prabhu. Next, I'd like to introduce and also thank simultaneously Venu Gayak Prabhu. Venu Gayak Prabhu, I'm not sure whether you have the ability to open your video. I think devotees can see you there. I can see you have your video on. Venu Gayak Prabhu has joined us recently as a senior manager for the ministry, and he is going to help us with several of our projects. He's one of our permanent full-time. Nothing is permanent in this world, but a full-time staff. And he's brought in a very fresh breath of energy with his professional skill set. He played the role of Master of Ceremony in one of our sessions, and he was also in touch with all the speakers to line up their topics and presentation. Let me move on to our next team member, Abhay Charan Prabhu, who's stood with me through the thick and thin in the last, since 2020, February. Abhay Charan Prabhu handled the communication, the emails, reaching out, even last minute firefighting if a speaker doesn't turn up, how to manage that. So Abhay Charan Prabhu, thank you so much for all the effort that you put in. Next, I would like to thank another member of our team who's a recent addition to our team, Kripa Siddha Swarup Prabhu. Kripa Siddha Swarup Prabhu is a very, very talented devotee. He has skills in website development and so many other areas, very dedicated. He's a graduate from the Mayapur Gurukul, and he played an important role in also helping organize this Viplavah 2022. So on that note, dear devotees, our Balimardan Prabhu has diligently put out his poll. So please participate in the poll. I thank you all once again. If you have any comments, feedback, you can please write to the ministry. If you have other speakers that you think should participate in Viplavah 2023, please also mention their names to us, their contact details to us. We would like to bring on more and more educators on this platform to share the good that they're carrying out, the various initiatives they're carrying out. It was very exciting for us, this particular Viplavah. We had devotees from North America, from South America, from Europe. We had devotees sharing different perspectives. We heard from one of our speakers today on vibration, transcendental vibration and its role. We heard from one of our speakers on a path-breaking presentation of how to incorporate career dharma. We had an excellent presentation from practically all of our speakers, and I remain grateful to every single one of them. On that note, I'd like to offer my Vaishnava pranams to everyone who's present. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyevacha patitanam pavnebhyo vaishnavabhyo namo namaha. I also seek, in closing, the blessings of His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutle Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. And I offer my prayers and seek blessings to the deities here in Shridham Mayapur. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivas Adi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. On that note, we formally bring Viplavah 2020 to a closure. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. We'd like to also thank you, His Grace Tapan Mishra Prabhu, his wonderful leadership skills and giving directions to the ministry. Thank you, everyone. So with this, the Viplavah 2022 is officially concluded today. Hare Krishna.